movie begins with a child's game of spin the bottle. Little Chuck is figuring out how he can spin the bottle to get some privacy with a girl he likes. But his luck fails him, and the bottle points to her gothic-looking roommate. Chuck, left alone with her in the closet, is scared and not ready for any action. But the girl very insistently asks at least to show his instrument. However, Chuck rushes out of the pantry in terror. Gothic-looking girl in anger curses Chuck, promising him that he will never find love, and that any girl after a night with him will go to another. Many years later, already grown-up Chuck works as a dentist and is very popular with the beautiful girls. He has just broken up with another girl, Carla, and about what he complains to his best childhood friend, who all his life was obsessed with beautiful breasts and therefore became a plastic surgeon. The friends are invited to a wedding where a lot of beautiful girls are there, including Chuck's ex, who is clearly not happy to see him. During the banquet, the bride, who also happens to be Chuck's ex, raises a toast to him. She says that it was after she broke up with Chuck that she found her happiness. It's weird, but many of the young girls start whispering amongst themselves. At the same wedding, Chuck meets a charming and terribly unlucky girl, Cam, who works as a penguin keeper. They immediately like each other, but suddenly the girl flips a candle on Chuck, dousing his instrument with hot wax. After this incident, she is forced to leave urgently, although she manages to take Chuck's business card. Coming to work, Chuck sees at his office a line of beautiful girls who were at the wedding. Rumors that Chuck brings women good luck quickly spread. It turned out that someone posted information on the internet on a dating site that after Chuck, any woman finds true love and quickly pops out in marriage. Chuck tells his best friend, a plastic surgeon, about his popularity among women, but the latter doesn't share his friend's concern and thinks it's jackpot. As they take a walk, they meet Chuck's latest ex, who is just trying on a wedding dress. She thanks Chuck and tells him that he really gives happiness to his girls. Charming and hapless Cam, while feeding the penguins, has an unfortunate fall and chips her front tooth. Remembering the dentist they met, she decides to call him, even though the workday is already over. She just happens to call Chuck at an inopportune moment. He's being hit on in the car by a new girl who also wants to get her happily ever after by sleeping with him. But Chuck decides to help Cam, who has fallen into his heart, and postpones the date until later. After Chuck helps Cam, she gets into a series of standard for girl mishaps with him. First, due to her clumsiness, she knocks over a pallet of sharp tools that stab Chuck in the back. Then she refuses to let him walk her out. But it turns out she can't start the car because her battery is dead. While Chuck helps recharge the car, she gets an electric shock from her own fault. Terrified that she might have killed Chuck, she jumps out of the car and accidentally slams the door with the keys inside. But the spare keys are at home. Chuck gives the girl a ride home in his convertible, but on the way he loses his convertible roof. Cam decides the button flap is a heater, but when she gets home, she realizes that the house key was left in the car. So she just smashes the window with a rock and opens the door. Finally, they get back to the car and this adventure-filled evening comes to an end. Chuck tries to ask Cam on a date, but she says she's not emotionally ready yet. Having been rebuffed, Dr. Chuck returns home, but finds his secretary there begging to sleep with her. He's not attracted to her, and he doesn't want to ruin the working relationship. But she asks so much for help and truly believes that a night with Chuck will bring her luck. So Chuck agrees after all. After the incident, Chuck's friend persuades him not to fight the situation anymore and to give happiness to all the women who want it. And Chuck begins to actively give happiness to girls. The more satisfied girls meet their happiness, the more active about Chuck and his unique ability to spread rumors. Chuck has so many girls that one can envy him. But over time, Dr. Chuck sinks into the abyss of loneliness and wants a relationship. But all his girls just want to get out of his arms, towards their happiness. And then Chuck remembers his charming penguin lover. He buys tickets and goes to see the penguins, hoping to get Cam to go out with him. After much persuasion and the help of an outsider girl and Cam's brother who works with her, Chuck gets a date. They have a great time, talk a lot, have fun, and even manage to kiss. Chuck is impressed. He wants something more with Cam. He shares his feelings with his friend and tells her that he wants to build a good relationship with Cam, meaning he will no longer help other girls find their happiness. On their next date, Cam asks Chuck about the curse. He assures her that he didn't make it up on his own and had no influence whatsoever in getting such rumors to spread, but both think there really is no curse. The date ends in a romantic setting at home. Chuck gets a call from his friend. It turns out that he has done his little research and assures that Chuck is indeed cursed, as absolutely all of Chuck's ex-girlfriends found their husbands right after they broke up with him. Now, Chuck himself is not sure of anything. He decides not to take any chances and end the evening separately with Cam. He's afraid that if they sleep together, he'll lose her. The friends figure out a way to get rid of the curse. Chuck has to sleep with the most disgusting woman, huge and ungroomed. They find one. Chuck barely talks her into going on a date with him, and through sheer force, he does the very thing with her. Her friends are convinced that there's no way she'll ever find love in her life, so the curse will just break on her. After the incident, Chuck freezes Cam out for over a week under the pretense of being sick. He wants to make sure the curse is broken, so he asks his friend to ask out the disgusting woman who is supposed to break the curse. If they go on a date and break up, then surely the chain of luck will be broken and Chuck will be able to date Cam. The friend agrees, and Chuck, pleased to find out the next day that the friend has already had dinner with their savior, sets up a meeting with Cam. Finally, the long wait is rewarded, and the guys give themselves to passionate love. But in the morning, Chuck learns on TV that the huge and hideous woman who is supposed to break the curse is about to get married. Furious, he calls his friend, and it turns out he's been duped and never went to any dinner. Terrified that Cam might leave him, he starts acting crazy. He gives her an inadequate amount of gifts and attention, comes to her work, and completely loses control of himself. This behavior frightens and repels Cam. After Chuck lashes out at a guy she was talking to at work, she loses patience and suggests they break up. Utterly depressed, sitting in the rain, Chuck suddenly remembers a childhood game of spin the bottle and a strange girl who cursed him as a child. He and his friend find where she lives, and Chuck is determined to do whatever it takes to get her to break the curse. The girl has long since grown up and has children. She listens to Chuck and gives her advice to let go, because if it's true love, they will definitely be together no matter what. And Chuck decides to do the right thing and stop pursuing Cam, staying single for her sake. Time passes. Chuck sits sourly playing on his Xbox when his best friend comes over to introduce him to his girlfriend. He says she's the one with the most beautiful breasts in the world. But the real purpose of the visit is to tell him that Cam is flying to the Arctic, and everyone thinks Chuck needs to stop her if he loves her. Chuck rushes to the airport and manages to get on the right plane a few minutes before departure. He tells Cam about his feelings and asks her to stay. She says she won't stay, but she'll be back in 3 days, and she's glad he came because she loves him too. A year later, they're already flying to Antarctica together. This is where the movie Good Luck, Chuck ends, making us once again believe that love can conquer everything. That's all for today. What do you think of this movie? Write your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more such videos.